Do you want to teach everybody in chat, or at least people who are watching who care, how improv, how we do it, that kind of stuff?
Sorry, you made a lot of words.
You did, wow.
I'm not sure how they came together in a sentence.
I love all the improv that you do. Would it be possible to teach someone the basics and some advanced tips of improv? Yes, it would be possible.
Yeah, good. I mean, Beej is actually a real king when it comes to teaching improv.
Oh, thank you.
Stuff like that.
I spent a lot of time thinking about it. I guess, yeah, maybe what we can do is we can step through how this works.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of rules. There are a lot of rules to improv in a way, but there's three that we generally concentrate on, because you can talk about things like how status is important, and you can talk about how high status and low status, how those two things are funny, and how when you invert them, it gets even funnier, and you can even invert stuff back. There's a lot of great sketch comedy, like a little Fry and Laurie. Fry and Laurie do that quite good themselves. Anyway, but the three rules I usually teach anybody who's a beginner are no blocking, no wimping, and no steamrolling. And no blocking, talking about a lot of no's when you have improv. So no blocking. Blocking is when you're shutting down something that's happening that's being involved in the scene. So if I went up to Ben, for example, and I said, let's go fishing.
No.
That's a very hard block. And if he wanted to do a softer block, he might find a way to, they're like, man, I want to go to, let's go to my grandfather's house.
Your grandfather's house is a little far.
Yeah, it is, but I figured the trip will be worth it.
Yeah, but my car's not, it doesn't have gas in it right now, and...
Well, then let's take your car and I'll pay for the gas, and then we can drive to my grandfather's house.
But I'm so tired, you know?
That's already 3 blocks, and those are soft blocks. He's establishing stuff in the scene, but it's still blocks. It doesn't... We should have been like, let's go to my grandfather's house.
Heck yeah, let's go to your grandfather's house!
And we're there. Like, that's kind of how you do that. That's how you get through things. You don't just talk about it, you try to get onto the thing that you're doing. So the other side of no blocking, you should be thinking of accept every offer. Every time somebody says something to you, you should be finding a way to say yes and moving that forward. The problem with that is that leads into no wimping. And wimping is when you will say yes to something, you're all aboard with it, but you don't give anything back. So if I walk up and say, oh man, we gotta go fishing.
Totally.
Yeah, I haven't eaten a good fish in a long time. I could really go for some salmon.
Yeah, fish is pretty good.
All right, well, I'm going to grab my tackle. Do you need anything?
Maybe.
Well, I'm going to grab you some tackle, too. Great, so you can have some of my tackle, and I got my tackle. All right, well, do you want to drive?
Sure, I guess.
Like, it's kind of...
Not adding anything to the scene.
Yeah, it's real hard. Whereas if I walked up to you and like, oh, man, yeah, we got to go fishing, man.
Well, I mean, we've been looking for, like, the king of all fishes for years, so it makes a lot of sense.
And I just got this new fishing rod?
Yes, the king of all fishing rods.
Yeah, we got to make use of this.
Exactly.
All right. We have already now enthusiastically established what's happening in the scene, and we have given some interesting things where it's now, there's a king of all fish, and I have a new fishing rod, but it's the king of all fish fishing rod. It's meant to do this. It's legendary. That's
you can only equip one.
Right.
Yeah, it's a unique equip.
We've established a reality to the scene, and all we had to do is just saying yes, and we just had to add one thing to the scene, and the next thing you know, we have there's things happening that are much bigger than how we just started with going fishing. So then the last thing though with that, you're accepting, and then you're building, but sometimes you get too enthusiastic, and that becomes steamrolling, and we don't want to steamroll. What we want to do is just give the one offer. So if I walked up to Ben and I'm like, oh man, my sister's in the hospital.
Oh, that's so bad. You know, I've been really, really good friends with your sister, and overall I think, like, her and I would be a really, really good match together, don't you think? I think I'm not really big fan of dating, but, I'm trying to, get out into the world, sort of explore myself just a little bit.
You're a good...
But, I know I'm a really, really good person, but sometimes I just have to think about it and go, am I a good person? I just want to go catch the king of all fishes. You've been looking for the king of all fishes all the time, but I got the king of all fishes fishing rod, and it's pretty sweet, but I don't think, do you want to go fishing? Of course you want to go fishing.
My sister's sick in the hospital.
Well, how easily you do all the bad things, though.
You practice like getting out of it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. It actually gets harder, I find.
Well, the only reason that that we can do it is because we taught it at like conventions and stuff like that.
So you have to show got to be able to just kind of go on and on.
Yeah.
And so when you steamroll, you're actually establishing too much that's going on in the scene, and you're not giving your partner a chance to respond to it and build as well. You're doing all the heavy lifting. And not only is that hard on you, but it's hard on your partner because your partner's not involved. You're just spending a lot of time making stuff happen in a scene. And that can even be a silent thing. Like, you could be playing a scene completely silent, and one person could basically just be, like, doing everything, and then someone else could come up and try to get involved, and that person just kind of, like, ignores them and goes on with other stuff or is doing other things. That person is steamrolling. They're not actually working together with a partner. Improv's, like, very collaborative.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to do things, you have to accept every offer, you have to accept and build, but you have to accept and build with only one thing. That's the best way to get started in doing improv, is obeying those 3 rules. Mm-hmm. There's other stuff we talk about, like no pimping.
Yes, yeah, no pimping is basically the idea. It's bestowing something onto somebody that you don't know if they feel comfortable with, or they definitely would not feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
You know, you just say like, it'd be like me if Beej and I know Beej and I have been working together for a long time, then I can walk up to Beej and give him a hug, right? Yeah. But if you're brand new with somebody and you've never worked with them in that, they might not really be cool with that, and being like, come here in the middle of a scene, you're pimping them.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if they're cool with that, and B, you're now putting them in an uncomfortable spot where they're not thinking about how they can add to the scene. They're thinking about, oh God, please don't touch me.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
And so a lot of times those kind of offers, like, for example, I could say in a scene, we do so many musical games. So it's like, it's easy, because Ben's like, I'm going to participate in a musical game. So if I was in something, like James, actually yesterday, when he's like, Ben, I want you to sing a song involving all the names of the people and whatever. He knows that you can go on and on for that for a while. And you did.
Yeah.
And you did a great job. And even when you fell down, that's fine, because that's improv. Failure's a part of the game. So when you fail, you pick yourself back up and you just kind of keep rolling. You try to make failure a focus. You make it a thing that just happened and you move on.
Yeah.
But if you ask me to do that, that's a hard pimp. I don't do that well.
You don't like singing. You like to be the guitar.
Yeah. Like I like to sing a song. Mm-hmm. I don't like to make up a song while I'm going. Right? I'm not good at that kind of thing. If you ask me to do somebody once, I think, tried to make me do part of a scene in iambic pentameter, and no. That's because I haven't practiced that.
Yeah.
And that's a hard one. And I've seen a guy do it. I've seen a guy walk up on stage and sum up 30 hours of improv, an improvised soap opera. I saw him do that in iambic pentameter. He did a whole sonnet. Mm-hmm. And it was a proper sonnet. Like, he did everything properly. And I was like, wow. Yeah. So that's
quick and dirty. Yeah. Like, just always make sure to work together, add something to the scene. Don't let somebody be the driving force behind it. Or if you see that they're doing it, let them do their thing. But as the person who is doing the driving, make sure you give people the opportunity to do it.
Yeah,
like
that's chivalry.
It's chivalry, exactly. It's all about being chivalrous and like just making the thing real.
Yeah.
You know, my biggest thing has always been like, if you're like, man, check this out.
That's so cool. Where did you get this weird cube?
Exactly. And Beej is instantly telling me what this is. Yeah. Not going, because you could. It's very, very easy for me to go, check this out.
Yeah. Well, what is it?
Yeah. And I'm like, now it's back at me.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing, right?
And that's awful too, because when you're like, hey, hey, check this out, right? And if you say, well, what is it? I'm like, well, then it's not real, is it? Because you didn't see it.
Yeah, but and selling it physically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Well, thank you.
I was literally enticed the whole time. I was like staring intently.
What is the, somebody did the rules of improv with, like, one of you is Oprah, and the other person is Billy Bob Thornton from Sling Blade.
Whoa.
And one of the improv actors gets up and is like, I sure do love my French fried potatoes. And the other person goes, no, you don't, Oprah. Right?
Whoa.
That's so good.
That's really good.
And it's just like, yeah, I know those are...
So great.
Dun, dun, dun.